So you're dreaming of making Vietnam your long-term home, maybe especially for your retirement years. And you know what? It's an absolutely incredible vision. But to make that dream a reality, a lasting reality, we have to talk about the one thing that truly protects it: legal compliance. As Vietnam really starts to tighten its regulations heading into 2026, getting your paperwork right isn't just a good idea, it's everything.
So let's just get right into it. You've pictured the lifestyle, the food, the culture, but is your paperwork actually ready for what's coming? Because with enforcement definitely on the rise, just kind of winging it is not an option anymore. So let's make sure you're prepared.
You know, here's the single most important mindset you can have. Think of it this way: compliance is your key. It's the key to your security and your peace of mind. This is not about trying to find clever little workarounds or loopholes. It's about following the clear, legal path that's going to ensure your life in Vietnam is stable and completely stress-free.
Okay, so to get this right, we have to start at the foundation, right? We gotta look at the law itself. Vietnamese law, specifically Law Number 47 and its amendments, is actually very clear about what it expects from foreigners living in the country. It's not ambiguous. It's a framework you absolutely have to operate within.
Now, what's really fascinating is how pretty much everything boils down to this one really powerful concept: the purpose of entry. And look, this isn't just some stuffy bureaucratic language. It is the single most important legal principle that governs your entire stay. Whatever you told them you were coming to Vietnam to do on your application, well, that's what you must actually be doing. It's that simple.
And hey, this is not a suggestion. This is a direct quote from Article 44.2 of the law. It's a legal mandate. It means if you come in on a tourist visa, you are legally obligated to be a tourist. If you're on an investor visa, you need to be an investor. The law demands that these two things line up perfectly. The law also gets very specific about what you can't do, and breaking these rules can have immediate, serious consequences. For instance, Article 5 strictly prohibits using any false documents or fake information. And then Article 6 makes it crystal clear that if you violate that purpose of entry rule, your visa or residence card can be yanked just like that. So the main takeaway here is these rules have some serious teeth. So knowing the law is one thing, but where do people actually go wrong? Let's break down the 3 most common mistakes, the traps that can totally jeopardize a foreigner's stay in Vietnam. These are the real-world pitfalls you absolutely have to avoid. We're going to break them down one by one. First, misusing your visa. Second, failing to register your address correctly. And third, the hidden dangers of using sketchy third-party agents. Let's start with the big one. Okay, the first and probably biggest pitfall is visa misuse. A DL visa, that's the tourist visa, is for, well, tourism. It has a 90-day maximum stay. Trying to live in Vietnam long-term by doing endless visa runs on a tourist visa, that directly violates the purpose of entry rule we just talked about. The proper way, the safe way, is a long-term visa or a temporary residence card, a TRC, which is tied to a legitimate sponsor, like a business you've invested in, a company you work for, or a Vietnamese family member. Now, this second one is surprisingly common, and it catches so many people out: failing to register your address. Article 33 is super clear on this. Every single time you move to a new apartment, or even just re-enter Vietnam after a trip, your landlord or hotel has to declare your temporary residence with the local police. It's not a one-and-done thing, it's a recurring legal duty. And the third danger zone: risky agents. Look, it's so tempting to hire someone to handle the paperwork, but you have to be so careful. Because if an agent submits false documents for you, the law doesn't care about the agent. It holds you legally responsible. That single mistake could get you banned from entering Vietnam for years. So why is all of this so urgent right now? Well, it's because enforcement is getting much more rigorous. The authorities are actively looking for foreigners who are out of compliance, and believe me, the penalties are not something you can just brush off. Let's make this really tangible. The fines alone can be pretty staggering. We're talking around 500,000 Vietnamese dong per day for overstaying your visa. That can turn a tiny oversight into a massive financial headache really fast. But honestly, it goes way beyond just money. Being out of compliance can lead to a flat-out rejection of any future residence cards. It can lead to a forced exit from the country under Article 30, and for really serious stuff, like using forged documents, you could be looking at a re-entry ban that lasts for years. These are the kinds of consequences that can end your dream of living in Vietnam for good.
Okay, so after all those warnings, let's shift gears and talk about the solution. Because the good news is that the path to a secure, long-term stay is actually very clear. It's all about being proactive and being transparent. And really, this is the whole point in a nutshell. The solution is just to align your legal status with your actual life. If you're living here because of an investment, get an investor visa. If you have a Vietnamese spouse, secure your residency through family ties. Just match your purpose with your paperwork. And to do this the right way, please avoid relying on Facebook groups or secondhand information. Go straight to the source. The official national portal on immigration is where you'll find the correct forms, the right procedures, and all the latest legal updates. You should bookmark this site. It's your most reliable tool. So, we'll end with this one question for you to really think about. Take a hard look at your current visa or your plans for getting one. Does it honestly and accurately reflect your real life and your actual purpose for being in Vietnam? Answering that question truthfully is the first and most important step to making sure your future here is secure. And for those of you who want to dive deeper into the actual legal text, these are the key laws and decrees that govern all this stuff for foreigners in Vietnam. Understanding them is really the best way to empower yourself and protect your stay. Thanks for joining us.